Okay, thank you very much, Anthony and his team for allowing us to come down here and present to you guys as a newly listed company. Just a slightly different style of presentation today. We've got a little 3D segment to go through. You can download it off our website. So once again, it's the same deal with the disclaimer. You've been warned. So Southern Cross Gold, as Anthony's mentioned, we are listed on the ASX under ticker SXG. We IPO'd in May last year. We spun out of a Canadian listed company called Mawson Gold. They remain our largest shareholder at 51%. Their shares are escrowed until May 2024, as well as a number of the shares owned by directors. So it's a pretty tight register that we have. Market cap of roughly $100 million today. We've got today, that was of November last year, $18 million. We've probably got about $16, $17 million today after doing a raising in November. We also own 10% of another ASX-listed company called Ngambia Resources, which gives us access to over 3,000 square kilometres of tenements in central Victoria. So, you know, we're here just to do the spiel on Southern Cross and why, you know, you should be investing in us. So we're a gold exploration company, and large deposits need large footprints. We have a mineralised extension in central Victoria of 11 kilometres in length, but 10 kilometres of that has never been drill tested, even though there has been historic gold production from the old gold rush days. We've already, and we're also close to two of the highest grade gold mines in the world, which I'll explain on the next slide. We've already released 55 holes from our drilling at our 100% owned Sunday Creek property, and we've already been getting great results demonstrating depth and width and high grades as well. The team is well experienced. We've been working this particular property for 3 years, but of course prior to that, exploration geologist of many years standing. And a number of our, in fact, our general manager lives on the tenement, so we're quite local. I'm the black sheep. I live in Sydney, but everyone else is down in Victoria. And so therefore we actually do have extremely good community relations down there with the traditional owners and also the local residents. And we also have, we've been talking critical minerals, and so I'm going to throw a new one into you, antimony, a critical mineral you've never heard of, which I'll explain next. Now, just to talk about Victoria, you know, whenever you think of gold in Australia, everyone thinks of Western Australia, but Victoria is still a major gold area of the world, and the reason for that is because of these two things. Fosterville is the highest grade gold mine in the world, and then just down the road from that is Costerfield, which is the 7th highest grade gold mine in the world. The reason why not many people know about it is because we've got these Canadian owners, and so therefore all the information goes over to Canada, doesn't really stay in Australia. And Fosterville, not only being the highest grade gold mine in the world, is actually one of the largest producers of gold, 500,000 ounces in 2021, at $311 a tonne, an ounce, which is just, you know, incredible. And so those two mines are in the same area of Victoria called the Melbourne Zone, which we're in. The Melbourne Zone is a different gold event to the traditional Victorian gold that if any of you guys have got your perceptions of Victorian gold, that's more your Bendigo Zone to the west, and that's an older style of gold event, 70 million years older than the Melbourne Zone, and Bendigo is more nuggety, refractory, hard to get a resource around, hard to get a mine plan around, whereas the epizonal gold, which we have and which these other two mines have, is a more disseminated high-grade gold, which is easier to get your head around. Now again, this is a representation of the two different styles of gold. So the orange, these are exploration drill results from Victoria of the last 6 to 7 years. The orange are other exploration companies in Victoria, and the blue is us. And what you can see is that your traditional Victoria is up in the top left-hand corner there. So fairly narrow widths and not very deep. But if you can see, there's some large dots there. Means you can still get, you know, your high grades, but being nuggety, you could hit a high grade in one section, and a couple of metres off to the side you don't get anything. What our drill results have shown is that we're actually getting these wider hits through our vein sets that I'll show you. And so then also we're being able to go further down. So changing the paradigm of what people consider to be Victorian gold. Here's a chronology of our drilling. So the line is metres drilled, and then the red dots are plus 100 gram metre intercept. So 1 metre at 100 grams, 100 metres at 1 gram, 50 at 2, that kind of thing. As an aside, Newmont, if you guys know, world's largest gold company, believe that if they get 3 100 gram metre intercepts at a property, they consider it a bona fide discovery. So far we've got 21 at the property. So a bit of the chronology is that the former company Mawson Gold bought in 2020 when there was already 5 at the property. They only had 1 rig running up until our IPO, which was in May last year. With the capital that we raised in the IPO, we were able to get another 2, so we have 3 rigs running at the moment. In a week's time we're going to have a 4th, and then in about a month or 2 we're going to have 5. But the important thing to notice is that in the late part of last year we just started hitting bang, 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 bang. Okay, each release had another plus 100 gram metre intercept, which I'll show to you. And now here's the 3D part of the presentation. So once again, on the western side, that's Bendigo. There's Bendigo zone, Melbourne down here, okay? So Bendigo is that refractory, high-grade gold, but hard to put a resource around. And of the 80 million ounces that came out of Victoria since the gold rush, about 60 million ounces have come from that particular zone. But in the east, this area here is the Melbourne zone, where our properties are located. Just zooming a little bit closer into the region where we're operating. The yellow dots are the epizonal style gold occurrences, and then the purple are the epizonal, so the younger style different mineralisation. And once again, that Fosterville mine is here, just near Bendigo. The 7th gold mine in high grade is Costerfield, that's that one there. We have 3 properties. So right on top of Costerfield is a joint venture property we call Redcastle. We've got another JV, and this is with Ngambie that we own 10% of at Roo. This is the southern part of the right of first refusal that we have, but the property that I'm going to talk about is this particular one here, which we own 100% of down the south, called Sunday Creek. So again, zooming into Sunday Creek, as I mentioned, we have an 11-kilometre trend at the property, and that is running east-west. In that sense, we have then, if I go into here, we've done our LiDAR. LiDAR is pretty good, that you can see the topography, and I'll show you where you can see the old workings. We own the freehold of that area there, which is where we're drilling. Next to us is an old quarry family, so they know about mining, and the remainder is state forest. So 3 owners, landowners in the area, we're 1. And we like to call it the Bogan State Forest. It's only trail bike riders and not prospectors, but deer hunters and so on. No hobby farms or anything. And so because of that, we get to drill all year round without any problem. The LiDAR has shown up the old historic workings, which are these things here, okay? This is from the 1880s to World War I, and if you notice, there's a bit of a northwest trend. When those veins hit across that mineralised host rock, that's where the mineralisation falls out. So very quickly, I mentioned grade, depth, width. I'm not going to go too much, but down here we had 5 at 36. Here we've got 11 at 18, 30 at 6. There's just a representation of the high-grade intercepts that we're getting. We have 25 different vein sets within this area. This area is just a bit over 1 kilometre. the point that I'd like to show here is this particular area here. This is our deepest hole that we released in December last year. It goes down to 800 odd metres, but we were aiming at only at 300 when we first drilled it, but it just continued down. And so what happened was that as we continued down, we found another 13 different vein sets. What that demonstrates is the potential of the area, which is all these blank spots. We've got a 30,000 metre program this year of drilling to fill in those blank spots. This was unknown until December last year, so we've got everything else, we've got everything else around here which is open to us to expand the mineralisation. Very quickly, here's the host rock. So this is a breccia dike, which is running about 11 kilometre along strike. And what happens, as I mentioned, was as those northwest veins cross it, the mineralisation happens within that host rock, pretty much. Now this is very well defined, and this is why we're being able to do those hit after hit after hit of very high grade gold. And so once again, this area here is where we're drilling, which is only about 1 kilometre wide. We've got another 10 kilometres of untested area to go. When we get the new rig, we're going to go up to here to Leviathan, and then another one up here in Ponstal. And they show the same patterns of historic mining with the same soils that we've undertaken, same aero mags as what we've been drilling in the southwest. So plenty of upside, plenty of upside. Now again, the critical mineral you've never heard of, which is antimony. Antimony is used as a fire retardant, but more topically as a munitions hardener. And one reason why it is a critical mineral is because it is dominated by our friends in China and Russia in both reserves and production. So it sits on top of pretty much every, including Australia's, every Western government's critical minerals list. It's only worth about, say, 10% of the value of our project in the ground today, but this is the commodity that's going to help us with the permitting. The gold is going to drive the economics, but the permitting is going to be driven by the antimony as we talk to, and we've already started to talk to the federal government about the potential to create a new industry in Victoria. Costerfield, which is the seventh highest grade gold mine in the world, is still the 5th highest producer of antimony in the world. So we do actually, and they sell their concentrate to China. So that's the line that we're taking to the government. So in wrapping up, we're fully funded, $16 million in the bank. We've got a 30,000 metre drill program. We've got the team that's experienced. We've already demonstrated that we can hit what we're looking for with the high-grade gold, and fully permitted. So that's us in a nutshell.